My siblings and I do a Zoom phone call on Monday nights, and usually it's just kind of catching each other up on what's going on. So this last Monday it was, what are we doing for Thanksgiving? Where are we going? Whose house are we going to? Who's bringing what? How are all those kind of, your families probably do similar things. All right, who's in charge of what, when, where? Afterwards, I was just recalling all kinds of memories as a kid, celebrating Thanksgiving, and all the responsibilities we would get as we got older, old enough to mash the potatoes. I remember this was a big deal in my family when we first got an electric knife. And then we would carve the turkey with the electric knife. And then you could, even if you were a kid, you could carve the turkey because you just cut through things with that electric knife. Wasn't always the way Dad would have done it, but I cut it up in real small pieces. All those memories gathered around the table with family there. The house, after a while, seems to take on those memories. And so when we had to sell Mom's house after she died, it was, but all those memories are there in that building, in that place. It was in this room that the stories were told, or in this kitchen that you spilled all that stuff all over the floor. And so then we didn't have any green beans for Thanksgiving that year. All those funny stories that we can tell attached to a place. Something just very human about attaching memories to places. So today our readings are about these places. For the Jewish community, the attachment clearly was, still is to this day in memory, to the temple. That's the place where God dwelt. And it was a special place. That original temple was built by Solomon. It was beautiful, marble, gold. It was one of the most outstanding places in the world, but then it was destroyed by the Babylonians. And so we hear Ezekiel in the first reading today having had a vision of what the restored temple will be like, and how that temple, from that temple comes all the graces of God, which he symbolizes in a river, as you heard in that first reading. Though it's kind of fascinating because, of all the major cities in the world, the one that's not built on a river is Jerusalem. There's no river there. The Jordan's not in Jerusalem. The Jordan's, 40-minute drive away. So you think, okay, no river there. So his image of this river flowing out of the temple and bringing goodness to all it touches is unique for a city without a river. But it was there that God dwelt closely with his people. David, you might remember, wanted to build that building for God. But God said it wasn't for him because God just dwelt in a tent. He tabernacled with the community. He was there in that tent until Solomon built it. Herod had rebuilt it, and that's what you hear Jesus talking about in today's gospel. Herod had restored the temple. It was rebuilt when they came back from Babylon, but Herod the Great, as you heard, for 46 years, they were fixing it up again, making it somewhat special. And today we celebrate this church in Rome. also a place of memories, because for 1,700 years, the church has used that as the chair of the Bishop of Rome is there at John Lateran. Though it's important, I think, what's written on the outside of St. John Lateran. Different from what was written at the temple. Because what's written at the temple was this was the house of Yahweh, of God. What's written at St. John Lateran is this is the mother building, the house of the church, not the house of God. This is the house of the church, which speaks a truth that Jesus teaches us and that Paul says so clearly today in that second reading. Because, our non-Catholic friends might say, you Catholics are really weird. You have a feast day for a building? What does that have to do with anything? Well, it's more teaching something here that Jesus is the temple. That's what he's telling us in today's gospel. Not the building behind him that he says will be destroyed, but he is the temple. And then Paul tells us that you are the temple of God because Jesus is dwelling in you. And that's what makes John Lateran holy, and that's what makes Francis Cabrini holy, is you. Because you are the presence of God. You are the temple of God gathered here. That makes this place holy. And then it kind of stays, just like my memories of home. The house took on the memories. And this building takes on those memories. So you can come in here and remember things that took place here. And it's open every day, throughout the day, for people to come in and have some quiet time in prayer with God. Just to be close to God. To know that the holiness remains. Those memories surround us here. A lot of times people who are visitors here will say, there's something really, really holy about this church. And I think, well, I don't know if it's the design or what makes them feel that way. Certainly when we were traveling around in Rome, those churches were gigantic, and you can have a sense of awe there. But here they experience a holiness. And I think that's because for more than 100 years, people have been coming here and praying. All temples, all communing with God in this space. And something of that remains. But I would encourage you tonight, as part of this feast of a church, to remember what St. Paul teaches tonight, that it's you. As you go forth from this building, you are where God tabernacles, the tent that God dwells in. And when you go to your home tonight and are screaming at the TV, because some team isn't probably doing as well as it should, just remember you're a tabernacle, that God is dwelling there. Or with all these upcoming holidays, that God dwells there with you. That wherever you are, because you are a temple, is holy.